Good evening, parents of current students and potential parents for next year's students. My name is Jennifer Hambersumian. I am the AP Literature and Composition teacher at Pasadena High School. Welcome to Open House. First of all, I want to go over a little bit of content for English literature and composition just to allow potential parents to know what to expect and so that current parents know what we've been doing for the year. This course, it's a college level introductory literature course, so it is the kind of course you would expect to see on a college campus. Does mean that it's quite rigorous. And that students, because it is English literature, we do a lot of reading. So if your student is not interested in reading, perhaps my suggestion is to, over the summer, if you're a potential parent, get them to read more if at all possible. Many colleges only have 45 hours of classwork for a course. We're pretty fortunate in that we have 140 hours within that school year, which means that we can look at literature in a little bit more depth and take our time with it a little bit more to help develop some of those lit skills. So we do look at some overarching questions in the course, and most of those all of those actually are related to our AP Literature and Composition skills, the College Board skills, and some of those questions that we look at are how do details and descriptions in a text reveal perspectives? In other words, for example, how does that reveal character's perspective, speaker's perspective, narrator's perspective? How do the perspectives of characters and narrators and speakers affect our interpretation of the text as we read? As you're all aware, there are multiple interpretations for any text that we read. And I tell the students this: your interpretation of a text is your interpretation as long as you're able to back it up with evidence from the text and create commentary and a line of reasoning to support your interpretation of a text. You're good to go. Some of the other things we look at is how do literary elements and techniques affect the interpretation? For example, if a writer uses metaphor, does that change the way we view the text? Just as one example. And the last one there is one we've been working on quite heavily in the second semester of the year. And that is what makes for a successful written argument about literature. And I've been really trying to focus on that. Students are improving in their responses. Some students do well at this quickly, others take a little bit longer in being able to develop thesis statements, figure out a theme statement, and be able to write their arguments to that. So initially, at the beginning of the year, I went over the outline for the course, and my goal was to have 9 units within the year. We have not done that. After coming back from pandemic, after coming back from online learning, it's been a little bit of a struggle to get students through. And so we have hit every single one of these elements. So we've hit short fiction, poetry, and longer fiction. And and I feel confident in saying we've looked at all of the skills for these, or if not there, we will be there by the AP Lit exam. But we have taken a little bit more time to get through. And so we haven't had three, as my plan was, we haven't had 3 short fiction units, 3 poetry units, and 3 longer fiction units. By the time we get to the exam, we will have had 2 short fiction units, 2 poetry units, and probably 3 longer fiction units. That's my goal. Oops, sorry. I do apologize. Let me go back. All right, I wanted to kind of put this slide up mostly so that you could see the books that we've been reading this year, or the goal of the books that we've been reading this year. We started out this year, I think, pretty strongly. So the students got to choose between 5 different Gothic fiction units, or Gothic fiction novels, I should say. The Picture of Dorian Gray, Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, Frankenstein, and Dracula. I think they enjoyed the unit. They got to break off into smaller groups, book club groups that we call them. And in those groups, they were responsible for independently writing their own discussion questions and then bringing those discussion questions to the book club group. Those discussion questions were based on AP Lit skills to try to have them develop those AP Lit skills. We then moved into some short fiction. which I think they enjoyed, and our first poetry unit, which pretty much covered the basics, just those basic elements, the terminology. We did look at some poems, a lot of poetry actually, but it was basically about getting them to learn those terms. Sadly, I think many of them have forgotten many of those terms, so it's something that we need to review, as we always do. The other novels that we've read this year, the other novel that we've read so far this year is A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, the author of The Kite Runner. I think many of the students enjoyed the novel. It was a very difficult, emotionally difficult novel to read, um, but they seem to get a lot out of the book. Um, I don't know that we're going to get to the Poisonwood Bible this year. It is a longer text and we have limited time. So I'm looking at perhaps doing a different unit. I'm kind of juggling a couple of ideas right now. One includes having them choose their own text. Another includes having something similar to our beginning of the year unit with our 5 books, but having them, instead of looking at Gothic fiction, have them look at cultural fiction. So just I wanted to give a rundown on the AP Lit exam, which is fast approaching. Our AP Lit exam is on May 4th. So may the 4th be with us all. Um, this question involves answering 55 questions. 45% of these questions are multiple choice. In other words, that's 52 of those questions in total are multiple choice. This includes excerpts from several published works. It'll include poetry, drama, and fiction. Each excerpt is accompanied by several multiple choice questions or prompts. 55% of the grade will come from the free response questions. That'll be 3 questions in total. Um, the exam will take about 3 hours to complete. And 3 is a passing score on this test. The test will be out of 5, so they'll be given a score out of 5. 3 is a passing score. That's pretty much it for um, my input for today. I do encourage you to reach out to me if you have any questions about your students or about the work. I'm more than happy to discuss anything with anybody. My email is on the school website, so feel free, but it's hambersumian.genevieve, no R, Genevieve, at pusd.us. I think that's pretty much it from me. Well, thank you so much for taking the time this evening to um, to review this with me. I am going to stop the video at this point, but I hope you have a good evening, and I do hope that you reach out when you're able.